Hello, my lovely natsukis. It's your bestie Summer, and boy, do I have a chapter for you. You guys are gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one so much. It's so amazing. It's so sweet. It's so wholesome. It's so lovey-dovey, sort of. It'll get more lovey-dovey. Like, it can always get more lovey-dovey when it comes to this fic. It's just adorable, sweet wholesomeness, and we love it. We love it. We love it so much. We love the chaos and the sweet and wholesomeness. Maybe I'll read a dark one at some point, but I haven't really found one that I want to podfic yet. So we're sticking with the sweet and wholesome. Woo! We love the sweet and wholesome. But anyways, I'm recording this friggin' like at 7 in the morning because I woke up an hour ago and I fell asleep at like 3. So I got like 3 hours of sleep. But I'm pretty sure my friend got more because they usually wake up at like 2 p.m. They're homeschooled. And they texted me at 5 a.m. today, so I'm pretty sure they got less sleep than me unless they decided to wake up super fucking early for once. But I don't see them, I don't see that happening, so yeah. But anyways, this is part 6, chapter 3 of Press Start to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by die_Collagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. I hope you enjoy! Danny fiddled with the asthma inhaler thing he had been given by Red Robin. It had been a while since he'd been given this. He'd been thinking. Sam's words about college and what he wanted to do rattled around in his head, along with his thoughts and how to protect his friends and sister. He reached out into his jacket and pulled out a rebreather esque mask his parents had sent Jazz. He stared at the two objects. He wanted to make something that could help his loved ones and potentially others when there was some sort of fear-based attack. He was a master of taking his parents' inventions and modifying them. He'd had years of practice doing that, and reading their shoddy blueprints that were often more of a hindrance than a help when it came to determining what something was. Was he smart enough, though? He'd never built anything from scratch, just taken already made inventions and made them even better. Not only that, but he'd failed so many classes in high school and had been told over and over again that he wouldn't really amount to anything. Mr. Lansard had tried to motivate him freshman year. After that, though, he hadn't tried as much, probably because Danny hadn't shown any change in behavior. There was still ghosts to catch and return to the ghost zone. Ghosts to rescue from both his parents and the ghost investigation ward. He hadn't had time to study. He hadn't had time to be a normal teenager. Danny had that now, though, didn't he? He wasn't the same person. Not anymore. Not after everything he'd been through. He'd gotten his GED. That proved that he had some intelligence, didn't it? Or at least the ability to memorize shit. He was going to take these two pieces of tech apart, figure out how they worked, and make them better. Or at least attempt to. Feeling motivated, he went to reach for a screwdriver. Oh, he didn't have any tools. Well, Danny checked the time on his phone. There was still an hour before sundown. It'd be fine. He'd been out at night a few times since the last disastrous scarecrow incident, partially to prove that he could. He wasn't always a walking bad luck magnet. This past year, he'd actually been rather lucky. It was almost as if leaving Amity had removed this aura of bad luck around him. Or perhaps Gotham was just so insane that it simply felt like that. It could honestly go either way. Making a decision, he grabbed his phone and sent a message to his friends and his sister. Ghost boy. Yo, gonna try and invent something. Ghost boy. Promise you'll stop me if I start getting all weird and wanting to be one of the Batman's rogues. Chaotic plant mom. Lol. Frere tech. Good luck, dude. Chaotic plant mom. Good luck, nerd. Frere tech. Don't half kill yourself again. Talk to me. Am I the only one who's concerned about that last statement? Since they'd seen each other's faces, Damian and Danny had been sending each other more pictures. Damian treasured everyone. His favorite was Danny and Orion in bed. Danny's eyes were only half open with sleep. Orion pressed against Danny's chest, the two surrounded by blankets looking warm and cozy. Danny apparently wore a gray t-shirt to bed. Damian couldn't help but be a little disappointed that he didn't sleep shirtless. Perhaps he'd get lucky next summer. No, stop. Another of Damian's favorites was Danny's joyful face, clearly laughing with mirth as Orion was hanging out around his shoulders. There was a couple from different places around Gotham. He'd finally recognized the cat cafes as Kyle's kitten cafe. He was oh so tempted to go and surprise the other man, make it a coincidence. They were in the same city, after all. Danny had to realize he was Damian Wayne, right? He had not addressed it specifically, but he had to know. Although Danny was not a Gothamite, perhaps he was not aware of who made up Gotham's supposed ruling family. He had to make sure. Red_Ghoul. We have not addressed this, but you have seen my face. Do you know who I am? Undead Nebula. Yeah, I know who you are. Undead Nebula. Which, Damian? Undead Nebula. You had balls to just straight up use yourself as an example of a 20-year-old who was high up in a company. Undead Nebula. Kudos. Red_Ghoul. I will admit that I was not very careful with my identity. Part of me wanted you to know. Undead Nebula. About that. Red_Ghoul. Yes. Undead Nebula. So I may have known who you were a couple months before you showed me your face. Undead Nebula. I didn't ask him to. Undead Nebula. But Frere went off and hacked your phone and stuff. Undead Nebula. He wanted to make sure you weren't some creep or something. Undead Nebula. There are some horror stories on the internet about stalkers and stuff and how utterly useless the police are when it comes to that shit. Undead Nebula. Well, Undead Nebula. I could actually rant about the police a lot. Undead Nebula. Damie. Undead Nebula. I have felt a bit bad about it. Undead Nebula. He didn't know for sure that it was you. Undead Nebula. Damian. Undead Nebula. I'm sorry. Undead Nebula. I'll leave you alone now. Red_Ghoul has started a voice call. Damian? Danny. I'm so sorry, Damian. I didn't ask him to do it. He didn't look really deep into you or anything. He just wanted to look into who my... Danny, Damian said a bit louder, cutting off the other man. I understand a friend or family member looking into me. I'm aware that anonymity online is both a blessing and a curse. Damian was far more aware of it after Timothy's PowerPoint, not that he would ever outwardly thank his brother for it. It would also be incredibly hypocritical of me to be angry at you for something your friend did without your consent. I hope you would extend me the same courtesy, since I am fairly certain my elder brother Timothy has been attempting to look into you and hack into your device and accounts. There was a moment of silence before Danny began to laugh. So, Danny laughed some more. You're telling me that the person aggravating Tucker the last couple of weeks, more pearls of laughter, is your older protective brother? Damian couldn't help but bristle a little at that. I do not need protection, but yes, that is my brother. Timothy is rather impressed by your friend's abilities, or at least that is what I can gather between all of the cursing and expletives. Danny laughed even harder at that. It was rather amusing. He could feel his own lips curl into a smile hearing Danny's giggles. How long are we going to let them do their whole hacker versus hacker thing? Indefinitely. Aw, no, this is stressing my friend out. We can't let it go on too much longer. You have already mentioned his name. Tucker? Shit, oops, can you pretend I didn't say that? I can, for now. Your friend must have some incredible skills if he has been infuriating my brother. Once Timothy gets over himself, I'm sure he would be interested in offering your friend a job. As much as Frere would love a job at Wayne Enterprise, I think he wants to wait a bit. He wishes to complete college? That, but Danny sighed. Okay, hear me out. It's a little wild. Frere thinks that there's, this supreme hacker named Oracle. Oracle is apparently behind a lot of leaks from companies and is associated with the Vigilantes of Gotham and the Justice League. Oracle has apparently been active for 10 or so years. I don't know. Frere can go on about Oracle for an hour or so. He's apparently planning something to get Oracle to notice him. That is concerning. Yeah, KS and I have been trying to find out more about it because we do not need for another Frere to become the latest Gotham rogue. We also feel like there are better ways to get Oracle to notice him, should Oracle exist. Danny sighed. If only we could think of some better ways. This was getting uncomfortably close to his nightlife. Perhaps there was a way he could prevent this Frere/Tucker person from doing something dramatic to get Barbara's attention. Timothy is rather well-versed in the online hacker community. It is possible that he knows this Oracle person. Granted, I would have to disclose that you know Frere, but that should be a small price to pay to prevent Frere from doing something drastic. And we can't enjoy Frere's and Tim's little hacker spat. Ah, well, it's worth it. There is a good chance that I will find out who you are, Danny, Damian warned him. I'm fine with that. It's only fair. Danny's voice shifted, becoming softer, more vulnerable. Please don't judge me on my parents. All I can say is that I know what it feels like to be judged based on who your parents are, and to not be seen as anything but an extension of them. Is that part of why you left? Why you were disowned? You did not want to be like them? It's part of it. They have some bigoted views. They're surprisingly progressive and accepting in some areas. They believe that I'm demi and panromantic. They would always also tease me about when I was single, about when I would get a girlfriend, boyfriend, or NB partner. They believe in climate change. They were totally cool with cooking only vegetarian food when I decided to become vegetarian for a girlfriend. They believed in prison reform and medical care for all, in increasing protection for workers, and so much more. There was affection in Danny's tone. It was clear that Danny loved his parents, that he missed them. Yet, when it came to people with powers and abilities, they hated them. They also didn't really like vigilantes. They could rant for hours about the Justice League. They were all for Lex Luthor's plan to have all metas registered, which, what the fuck? One of my best friends, Chaos, is Jewish. It's pretty much always a bad thing when you need to be registered people, especially for something they can't control or were born with. Danny took a shaky breath. Damian's heart went out to him. Danny's pain was clear as day. They tolerated my love of Superman and Martian Manhunter because they were aliens. They weren't humans who'd changed. Damian could read between the lines. Danny must have developed some meta powers at some point. Changed, somehow. So please, Danny pleaded, don't judge me based on them. I would never. In return, please don't judge me based on my fathers and siblings. Damian responded, trying to lighten the tone of the conversation. He was rewarded with a watery laugh. I would never, Danny whispered, repeating Damian's own words back to him. Sorry for bringing the mood down. No, that is something you should never apologize for, especially when it comes to something that is hurting you so deeply. You're so sweet, Damie. I'm so lucky you're my friend. I am the lucky one. We're both lucky. Indeed. Once they finished their impromptu call, Damian received a single message. Undead Nebula. Daniel James Fenton. Danny's hands still shook a little as he hung up with Damian. It was hard talking about his parents, Jack and Maddie Fenton. He kept going back and forth. Should he keep considering them as his parents or not? He loved them, he really did, and he suspected they loved him too. It was just their own ideas and views that were getting in the way. He needed to stop thinking about this. This was just going to make him upset. Undead Nebula. Hey, T. Fairtech. Yo, what's up? Undead Nebula. I know who your hacker rival is. Fairtech. The fuck you do? Fairtech. That's not funny, dude. Fairtech. I've been working on this fucker for weeks. Fairtech. I'm so close. I'm gonna break into this dude's computer and make them regret stalking you. Undead Nebula. Cool. Undead Nebula. That's super nice of you. Undead Nebula. But Undead Nebula. What if I told you that it was Damian's brother? Fairtech. What? Undead Nebula. A one Timothy Drake Wayne. Fairtech. No. Fairtech. No. Fairtech. No. Fairtech. Please. Fairtech. You have to be fucking with me right now. Undead Nebula. Sadly, I am not. Undead Nebula. I talked with Damie. Undead Nebula. Turns out we have something in common. Undead Nebula. Friends/brothers who are totally willing to hack on our behalf. Fairtech. No! Fairtech. Danny! Fairtech. What am I going to do? Fairtech. I wanted to work for him one day. Fairtech. Not piss him off. Fairtech. I've been leaving a bunch of super crass and mean readme notes everywhere. I'm able to break in. Undead Nebula. I'll ask Damie to put in a good word for you. Undead Nebula. Besides, he's probably going to be impressed with your skill. Undead Nebula. And didn't you say he'd been doing it back to you? Fairtech. I mean, I did it first. Fairtech. But he totally copied my idea of readme notes. Fairtech. And he's been super mean back. Fairtech. Even meaner than I was. Fairtech. He implied that it was only my meta abilities that were keeping him out and that he would ruin my life after he found me. Fairtech. Which, Fairtech, not totally wrong on the meta part. Fairtech. But not cool, dude. Undead Nebula. Well, Undead Nebula. Damie said he'd asked Tim if he's heard of Oracle. Fairtech. No! Fairtech. There's no way you would tell him, Damian. Fairtech. He's totally going to lie since I pissed him off so much. Undead Nebula. I'm trying to help here. Undead Nebula. Get you two to stop committing cyber warfare with each other. Fairtech. Fine. I'll stop attacking for a week. I'm still defending my stuff. Fairtech. If he doesn't stop trying to get in during that time, then truce is over. Undead Nebula. I'll let Damian know. Undead Nebula. Thanks. Fairtech. Yeah. Fairtech. Fucking Tim Drake Wayne. Fairtech. Fuck. Red_Ghoul. Denny. Undead Nebula. Yes, honey? Red_Ghoul. Please reassure me that your parents will never be coming to Gotham. Undead Nebula. Undead Nebula. As far as I know, they have no plans to. Undead Nebula. Why? Red_Ghoul. I fear that they would become Gotham's latest rogues. Undead Nebula. Laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji. Undead Nebula. You're not wrong. Danny smiled as he took down the decorations. He would be leaving 2 up, his ace flag and his pan flag, which he had put under the print of the ghost nebula that Jazz had gotten him for his 18th birthday. Streaming during Asexual Week had been lots of fun. His community had been so supportive, and those that hadn't had been swiftly removed. He'd been surprised by how many had remained. He'd honestly thought that he would lose, a ton of followers, but it had actually garnered him a lot of support, which had not been why he'd come out in the first place. Danny had received so many comments, chats, tweets, and more that thanked him for coming out as Demi. He'd read all of them, and they warmed his heart in his core, happy to hear from all of the others in the A spectrum. All those who had similar experiences as him had struggled with defining the absence of something. Danny's world had been rocked the first time he'd felt sexual attraction for Sam. He'd spent time he should have been sleeping to frantically research why an asexual would feel sexual attraction. That had been when he found the label demisexual. It had made him feel less alone, less strange and different, to have a label, a name for what he was feeling. It also comforted him to know that he wasn't alone out there. Others felt the same way. He sighed as he took down the purple string lights. He'd left them up for a little while after Asexual Week, partially due to laziness, partially due to him being proud of who he was and what he was. He was feeling things, the beginning of things for Damian. Danny had been falling for the man before he'd even known his name or seen his face. He'd been able to have deeper conversations once they'd found out who the other was. Danny had fallen even more and faster than before. He could only hope that Damian was feeling the same. He wanted to hug Damian. He also kind of wanted to see Damian shirtless, run his hands along the other man's arms, down his pecs and chest. It wasn't sexual desire, not yet, but Danny wouldn't be surprised if that started to appear soon. He really wanted to see Damian in person. Damian had been open to them meeting. They were in the same city for Ancient's sake. All it would take was a picture of Damian somewhere Danny recognized, and he could show up there. Total coincidence. It was bound to happen, right? Hell, he could transform into Phantom for the first time in months to traverse the city quickly if he had to. All he needed was a chance. Undead Nebula. Dami. Undead Nebula. All I've heard from you the last 2 weeks has been how you've been working. Undead Nebula. Staying up all night for a project. Undead Nebula. Meeting after meeting. Undead Nebula. Dami. Undead Nebula. Honey. Undead Nebula. Sweetheart. Undead Nebula. You need to take some time off. Undead Nebula. Do something for yourself before you burn out. Undead Nebula. I don't want to see that. Undead Nebula. Burnout isn't fun. Undead Nebula. You're burning the candles at both ends, dear. Damian blushed, reading the backlog of messages from Danny. Danny had started calling him these endearments, these pet names, after Damian hadn't said anything about the first one. Danny had taken that as permission to call him all sorts of things. They'd made Damian feel warm, loved. He'd been thinking of a perfect first date to take Danny on, should he accept. His top contender was to take Danny ice skating. Danny was from the Midwest, so he was more than likely adept at it. If not, Damian could assist him. It would also be a wonderful way to have Danny close to him, to potentially hold on to his hand or his arm. There was a luxury chocolate shop a block or two away from the rink. They could sit in the cafe, drink hot chocolate together. He could find out what kind of chocolate Danny liked, then purchase him some. It would be cold out, possibly raining or snowing. If it was raining, they could share an umbrella. If not, they could press against each other as he walked Danny back to his bus stop or his house. Or he could hold out till spring, then take Danny to the Botanic Gardens, go on a private boat ride and have dinner, with fairy lights strung up overhead. Danny would look positively angelic like that. He was getting ahead of himself. Damian sighed. Red_Ghoul. You are right. I'm exceptionally tired. Red_Ghoul. You have been encouraging me to treat yourself, so I will play hockey. Undead Nebula. ! OMG! Yes! Undead Nebula. You deserve it! Undead Nebula. You work your ass off and kick butt. Undead Nebula. Go have fun. Red_Ghoul. I shall. There is a museum exhibit that I have been meaning to visit. It will be gone by the new year. Red_Ghoul. This will be more than likely my only chance to see it here in Gotham. Undead Nebula. That sounds perfect. Undead Nebula. You should go enjoy yourself. Undead Nebula. You totes deserve it, hon. Damian smiled before standing up and telling his secretary to cancel all of his meetings today. He was off to visit the Mona exhibit. He honestly couldn't remember the last time he'd taken a day off. He couldn't believe he'd done it. He'd convinced Damian to take a break. Score! He smiled to himself as he went back to taking apart the regulator. He didn't have the blueprints of this invention, but he was sort of reverse engineering one as he slowly took it apart, making notes and sketches as he went along. Danny's mind was already whirling with ways he could shrink the device. Jack and Maddie always tended to make larger, chunky inventions, with few exceptions. If Gotham's populace could have some rebreathers that could place in their pockets or purses to have on hand whenever an attack happened, it could possibly prevent deaths or give people more time to get to safety. If the rebreathers could even be used to protect people against Joker gas, then he could potentially save hundreds. He was getting a bit ahead of himself, though. Those were goals for if he was even able to do this. Danny worked for a while before his phone dinged with a Discord notification from Damian. He put down his tools and smiled. Damian had sent him some pictures of paintings, specifically water lilies. His brow furrowed. He recognized those. That was the exhibit at the Art Museum of Fine Arts. Wait, Damian was there right now. In a spur of in-the-moment decision, messaged Damian. Undead Nebula. Pretty! Is there room for one more? No pressure. Danny's face turned red. Oh, Ancients, why had he done that? He was such an idiot. He clicked the message, getting ready to delete it, when Damian responded. Red_Ghoul. You are always welcome. Red_Ghoul. I can wait for you. Undead Nebula. Oh, I don't want to make you wait long. Red_Ghoul. How long would it take you to get here? Danny looked up at how far it was in maps. It would take around 40 minutes by bus, but if he transformed into Phantom... Undead Nebula. I could be there in about 20. Red_Ghoul. Wonderful. See you soon. I will return to the entrance of the exhibit, and shall wait on one of the benches near there. Danny scrambled out of his chair, racing to pull on some shoes, grabbing a jacket, checking his hair, and sprinting down the stairs. Jazz, I'm heading out. See you in a bit, he yelled, not waiting for her response. Taking a deep breath, he transformed into Phantom, turning invisible and flying over the city. Oh no, in Amity he was familiar with what the city looked like from above. He'd yet to find Gotham. He was going to do his best not to get lost. Damian sat on a plush bench facing Monet water lilies from 1919. He resisted the urge to check his watch. Danny said he would be coming. He had no idea where in the city Danny was coming from. It was approaching 20-minute mark. Damian was doing his best not to tap his foot impatiently. He was nervous and incredibly excited. He could hardly believe his eyes when Danny had asked if he could tag along. It wasn't a date, but deep inside, he wanted to pretend it was one. He turned his head as he heard someone speaking with the guard. He held his breath, as he'd done with every person to enter since Danny had messaged that he was on his way. He was rewarded when stepping through the door could only have been Danny. His inky black hair was just a touch messy, windswept, one could say. He hadn't thought it was windy today. Those memorizing crystal blue eyes were looking around, looking for Damian. Danny was tall and lanky, wearing a worn, soft-looking pair of light blue jeans and a few small stains on them. He was wearing red Converse with a gray NASA shirt that also had a few marks, dark stains on them, as well as a few dark streaks in Danny's arms. Danny also had a gray windbreaker that he'd tied around his waist. Danny stood up and approached. He saw the moment Danny saw him, his eyes widening and a smile spreading across his face. Damian gave his crush a responding smile, his heart fluttering. He'd done that. He'd made Danny smile. A video camera did not do Danny's beauty justice. He desperately wanted to hold Danny's hands. "Hey there," Danny said with a grin, giving Damian a small wave. "Thanks for waiting for me, and for letting me tag along. I appreciate it." "Of course. I am thrilled that you wanted to come. It is rare enough that I can come to a museum, even rarer that I have someone to view art with me willingly." Somehow, Danny's smile got even brighter. "Awesome. Glad I could make it then. Fair warning, though, I don't know a lot about art." "No worries, Danny. I can teach you plenty," Damian said smoothly with a smile. Danny blushed. Lead the way, Casanova," Danny stuttered. Damian laughed before leading the other man into the exhibit. "I'm fairly certain you are the one who is considered... I'm fairly certain you are the only one who considers me one, beloved." They had finished the Monet exhibit and migrated to the small cafe attached to the museum. Damian's heart felt light. When he had decided to take a day off, he had never expected it to go as well as it had. He had heard horror stories from his father and his siblings about how whenever they tried to take a break, that is when every shoe dropped, metaphorically. Though that was usually when they took breaks from vigilante work, which is not what Damian was doing. Walking through the museum had been incredible. Danny had listened with rapt attention to every word he said. He had also never tried to rush him through, like Richard or Timothy. Jason would let Damian take his time, but was often uninterested in his words about the art, their style, and Damian's opinion on them. As for Stephanie and Cassandra, he'd never been to a museum with either of them. Brown had indicated no interest, and Cassandra was often away. Their schedules never coincided for them to go to it. It was not as if going to a museum was as important to him as attending one of Kane's dance performances. Damian watched as Danny sipped at his hazelnut hot chocolate. It was far too sweet of a drink for him, but it suited Danny. He was just as sweet, if not sweeter, than his drink choice. They had spent the majority of the museum with him talking. He wanted to learn about Danny. He was going to start with those stains on Danny's attire and arms. I am curious, what are those on your arms? The what? Danny asked, twisting his arms to get a look at the dark streaks on his forearms. Oh no, Danny moaned, his face turning red. Please tell me I don't have these all over. I'm rather afraid you do. No, this is so embarrassing. First time I meet you and I'm covered in oil. Oil from what? I was taking apart some tech. I wanted to take it apart to see if I could, and maybe improve on it. It was something I did a lot with my parents, take apart their inventions. I usually actually modified them, so they weren't as dangerous. I've, been thinking a lot about what I wanted to do with my life. Not that I'll quit streaming. I love that. But I want to do something. Denny rubbed his arm behind his head, bashfully. You know how Red Robin saved me all those months ago? He gave me this inhaler thing that had an antidote. I was able to help so many people get to the clinic over on Seascape. I really, really enjoyed helping others. It made me feel so good, you know? And I'm not really very book smart, and I like doing things with my hands, always have. So I want to invent something to help others. That is really admirable, Danny. I think that is a wonderful goal. Danny blushed once more, ducking his head to stare down at his hot chocolate. Damian felt himself falling even deeper for Danny. Danny cared about others and wanted to be better for the world in his own way. It was admirable. They continued to chat before it was time for them to head out. Damian didn't really want Danny to ride the bus too late at night. Additionally, while he could skip his duties at Wayne Enterprise for a day, he could not say the same for his duties as Robin. He walked Danny to the bus stop, staying with him and chatting till it came. When Damian saw the bus approaching, he turned to Danny. "Can I hug you?" he asked sincerely, surprise flashing across the other's face before he was rewarded with another smile. "Of course," Danny said, opening his arms. The two embraced. Danny was a bit shorter than Damian. It felt incredible to have arms around him, holding him close. They hugged for a few minutes, perhaps longer than acceptable between just friends. Damian did not care. "You will let me know when you arrive home safely?" "Sure, but only if you let me know too, okay?" Danny stepped onto the bus before looking at Damian through the window. Damian didn't want him to go. He wanted Danny to stay. The two kept their eyes on each other till the bus took Danny out of sight. Sighing, Damian made his way back to the car to take the long drive back to Wayne Manor. And that was part 6, chapter 3 of Press Heart to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by thy_Collagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. This one was so fun and cutesy. I loved it. I love pet names. They're like so adorable. I adore them. They're so cute and wholesome and sweet and literally I had to like during some of my pauses in recording, when the scenes cut to a different scene, I literally sent my friend a voice note just fangirling, because it's just so cute and wholesome, and I love sweet, wholesome, lovey-dovey stuff. I'm such a hopeless romantic. I can't. And I'm single. I want to date somebody. I can't. I live in a tiny place, so I can't. I don't get out much at all. It's kind of depressing, but who cares? It's fine. I'll meet someone someday. It'll come. I'm pretty sure I actually have I have an ex in this town. But we still besties. We ended on a good note. We still besties. We hang out, like, every so often. Like, we text a lot. But fucking, yeah, I think that's everything. We're coming up on the middle of the fic. Like, we're coming up on it. It's coming up. Ooh, we're just having some fun. I really enjoy this fic. I love it. This chapter is gonna be really long. It's gonna be a really long chapter. Like, I realized that in, like, the middle of recording. This is really long, and, like, it's just, wow, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Like, I wanted to do this for years, and I'm so happy that I'm finally, like, actually, like, giving myself a chance to, like, exploring and shit like that. But yeah, I think that's everything. So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Bye!